Hello everyone, and welcome back to another 30-minute 3D modeling challenge, where today we are modeling a fish. Awesome. Let's go ahead and remove this, and our time starts now. So for our fish, I think I actually want to make two fish for this little render, and I want to have one sort of massive colossal fish in the background, and then one sort of smaller fish in the foreground. Or I'm thinking what we can do is have like the big jaws, or we can hop into a frame. We can have basically the jaws of a fish are going to be in here, and then we'll have some teeth, and then we'll have our fish. It'll be quaint, swimming along this way, and it'll be oblivious to what it's about to, the fate it's about to receive, basically. Okay, awesome. So that'll require, this will be in a few steps. I think step one is I'll make the big jaws of the fish first. So I'll start off with a cube, and I'll add a subdivision surface modifier. And this will be a technique known as box modeling. So it'll start off like that. And how do I want to make it? So I'll make it 4 meters tall. Or rather, I won't make him 4 meters tall. I'll make the top of his jaw, it'll be 4 meters. Each of these squares you see here is 1 meter. So I'll start off, we'll scale that down. And I'll also go ahead and just make this symmetrical. So I'll add a mirror modifier, and this will be a good start. So I basically just want these jaws, and why don't we also frame a camera, or no, we'll have the object first. So I want these jaws sort of come out. It'll come down like this, or even like that. And then we can duplicate this, move it down, scale it down. Except now we want to take some of these vertices and just make it a bit thicker. So this will be the mouth. And here we can make you just be 90 degrees, center it on the y-axis, or the x-axis rather. And then we can adjust it to be in frame how we want. So first off, we'll move it down, and then we'll move it forwards. Move it down, and then I'll also want we can use the focal length. Move it like that, and that should be perfect for me. Awesome. So we'll also want to have sort of like a plane of skin coming around here, so it's obvious that it's a big fish. Maybe even I have sort of colossal eyes that hang out back there. So I'll add a plane, and real quick, I want to fix this origin to geometry. Oh, origin, no, whatever. It'll be fine. Or actually, no. This will be fine just as a mouth, because there's not going to be much light in the scene, except maybe a ray coming down at our fish. So I'll start off with a plane, and merge it at the center. And then I'll basically just have it, I'll just duplicate this a bunch of times. And I'll actually add a solidify, make it a bit thicker, add a subsurf, except I'll make the vertex crease 1 on this. And we can maybe make it 2 or 3. I don't like how that's turning out. Offset 0, thickness 0.1, even thickness. Maybe you run it after the solidify modifier. Okay. So yeah, I'll put the solidify modifier after the subsurf, just to sort of keep the jagged edge of that. So we can now take this, and I want to add a mirror modifier. Mirror across this object. And then we can start duplicating these, moving them around. So now what I want to do is apply this mirror modifier, and then I can take a bunch of these, or I can select all of them really. And then I can apply some noise. So then I can just sort of shake up the location of all of these. So now it's just a bit more, non-uniform across the mouth. So how does it look in frame? So that's still about good. And I think even we can just scale all of this up, because I want the teeth to be more in frame. That's perfect. So it's going to be like this. And then how are we looking on time? Awesome, 21 minutes. And then we're just going to have a small fish in the center here. So I'll start with another cube. Scale it down. Give me a subsurf. And we'll make it, yeah, I think we'll give it actually 4 in the render, but we'll only work with 2 for now. So for starters, we'll make it thin. We can turn proportional editing off. And then what we can do is make it wide. How do fish look? You're a good fish. So it has a sort of a much more arched upper and a bit of a flatter lower section. Make it more arched upper section, flatter lower section, and then comes to more of a point for the head. And then similar thing with the tail. And we'll scale it on every axis except the y-axis. Crank it up. Shift Y, crank it up. And we'll take all of it, just make it smaller. It can even be much smaller, and we can use tricks of light and other aspects, because I don't want to go too hard in terms of shading the sky, just because the point of this challenge isn't the shading. We can also add a quick little fin here, just by cheating. That looks scuffed, so we'll undo that. Add maybe a cut down the center, then expand. Yeah, move along the Z, move along the Y, extrude, Z, Y, make it a face, make the whole thing a face. And now we can take this and we can cheat. Except it doesn't even have to be that pronounced. It can be just sort of back. And we can actually move it, the whole thing. over there. And that seems like a pretty good fish to me. I don't know about you. But, alright, I'm happy with that. We'll also really quickly just give it an eye. Bring it up, bring it down, bring it over, bring you out. And we only need one eye because the back side is not going to be visible. Okay, perfect. Now we'll take both of these and have them shade smooth. And we'll get to shading and lighting this scene. Awesome. So start by shading you, and I'll give it, why don't we give it like, oh. So we'll start off with a Voronoi. Plug the color into the normal, and we'll give it a much bigger scale. And we'll make the roughness much lower. And this is just going to be some scales on the fish. But I'll also add a gradient texture. It'll be a linear gradient. Plug that into the color, where it's already looking like it's good. So we'll add a color ramp. And I'll bring the black stop up, just like so. And then plug this into a mix color. It's the factor. This is a standard shading trick, where if we're gonna have blue, sort of like this bluish greenish, we can make it blend from like a red tail to like a green tail. Make it a bit brighter green, maybe a bit darker, and a bit brighter pink, perhaps. And we can shore in this line a bit so that there's not so much of a muddy transition, and we'll keep it localized to like the back there. Awesome. Now for the eye, we'll give it just a real quick shiny black texture, and that won't even be visible, but that's fine. We'll make the teeth like sort of a bone yellow. Make it all the way rough. Make them shade smooth as well. We'll give them a noise texture. Give them a bump. Plug that into the height. Or actually, let's preview this. Crank the scale way up. So I want them all to be bumpy, like this. So I'll plug that into the normal. Plug that there and turn the strength way down. Doesn't need to be that pronounced. I think right about there is a good sweet spot. Now the lips, we can also have you shade smooth. Oh, you too. Shade smooth, and we'll actually join these. And then we'll make fish lips, which are going to be sort of a bluish color, but I want it to lean more on the green side, because in low light conditions, like what we're about to create with a volumetric, it will be good. And then I'll turn the roughness way up. And that's honestly fine, because I want it to blend into the background. So now I'll add just a big cube. Crank it. And for shading, we want this to have a principled volume. Make it really dense. The color should be like a blue. Let's check it out in the rendered view real quick. Let's add a sun. Okay, so this is a bit thick for now. So maybe 0.1, maybe 0.2. Okay, that seems about right to me. And then I'll add, and I saw this trick. I'll add another volume. Scale it down. And I can even scale it down even more, like this. Scale on the Y. And I only want it to like I want it to pierce through the mouth. So it's like focusing on the fish. So we'll see how that looks. And for this, I want to give it an emission. And let's turn it on rendered view, see how it looks maybe. Okay, that's a bit strong. 0.1. Or is perhaps the issue that, oh, it's using the exact same texture. Go back to this. Make your own. And emission. And we can use this to fake a sort of God ray coming in from the heavens. Can I scale this down? I cannot scale that down. But you know what? That sort of is fine. Because the last thing I'll add is maybe, can I make an area light work inside this volume? Yes, I can. Scale it down. A little bit of this, a little bit of this action. And then I'll also want to plug this color into an emission for the fish so that it can be seen better in our scene. All right, never mind. That looks horrible without a source of light like this. Or maybe the trick is just to re-angle our sun. So it's more like this. No, because it needs to be dark. Okay. Let's scheme for a moment. Alt R. Yeah, maybe just add a point light. I sort of like this effect actually. Wait. Plug you in there. Plug one in back here. Maybe one in the middle. It's sort of lit up from the inside. Big glowy fish in the center of big Scary jaws. The only source of light at a great depth. Okay. So looking at this render, so we've modeled some teeth. We've put this fish in the middle. I'm not too happy with these lips, but one thing, let's check out what it looks like in a final render. Where it looks like this. So we're actually getting some God rays like that. So what if I add, or here, what if we add, go into modeled view and display in the viewport. We can change this cube to make it easier to work with, where we'll display it as bounds. And now we'll add in a plane. Or actually we can move that in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a quick mouth for our fish. And I'm not going to bother to, do this properly with, mirror modifiers and all that. Because the goal here is quick, dirty, and effective. Scale it up. So it's really properly inside the lips. And then make that better. Make this a face. And then we'll add this. And we'll make it a deep red flesh color. That you really can't even see, but I think now it's maybe a bit more obvious, except for this weird artifact down here. Why is that? Maybe we just need a small area light, or maybe even a small spotlight. Scale it down, rotate it, point it at les fish. And then the light settings, we'll make the size of it way thinner. Render. How are we looking now? Crank it up to like 1,000. $10,000. Okay, so I think 5,000 is probably going to be more of a sweet spot. And I actually want to take it and hop into solid view for this. Why don't we select this guy and say transformation pivot point 3D cursor. Rotate it like this. Check it again. The teeth are still being lit. Rotate it like this. And then I'll make sure this All the way rough. Settings. Here, wait, how do we light link it? Like this. And select the light. Select the fish. Control L. Link. No, that might be a cycles only feature. Why don't we delete the background then? And then we can just have a couple more of these, but just sort of coming down. You know, as I guess some artificial caustics. No. Make it bigger. Make it smaller. Okay, so I think it's clear that this is like a fish. It's a fish, and it's unfortunately gotten itself caught in the jaws of this creature. But I'm not too happy with sort of the composition of the scene. Maybe we can make this a bit more obvious by making it brighter, and the roughness up more maybe. Let's try that. So now the lips are a bit more readable, but I'm not liking that they're just like that teal color. So maybe they should be the same blue as the ocean and just sort of show up as almost a reflection, almost an outline. And the last thing that I might try is to go for an NPR look and add a quick, I could add a black outline to this and a white outline to this, but I think I'm actually going to call it good with just the way it is now and call this a 30-minute speed model of a fish. This has been day 12 of my 30-minute speed modeling challenge. Go ahead and leave a like if you liked it, and I'll be back tomorrow with another one.